have a story about Bishop Robert Barron that
Yeah.
I got to tell, because he's getting a lot of flack right now.
What for what?
Oh, Taylor Marshall and Timothy Gordon are going after him for his "Dare we hope that all should be saved," and it's a little unclear as to what he means. And I haven't pursued this much. I know people get pretty excited about it on the internet.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're wrong to. I'm just pointing out a fact. But I was at the Flannery O'Connor's childhood home yesterday. It's very loud.
That was great because I just finished my coffee.
Yes, good. Go for it. That is not vodka, ladies and gentlemen. That is sparkling water. So this is why I'm wearing Flannery's shirt right now. Love Flannery O'Connor. Yeah. And anyway, so I was there yesterday, and the lady was giving me a tour. And she was nice enough, you know, but you got the sense that she most certainly was not a Catholic.
Okay.
And had to talk about Catholicism because it played a large role in Flannery O'Connor's life.
Yeah.
And I got the sense that sometimes as she would mention it, it was a little disparaging, you know. And so whatever, we went through the entire tour. And then at the end, I looked up on the wall and they have these Flannery O'Connor fans that you wave yourself with. And it's a face. It's a cardboard cutout of Flannery O'Connor's face. And on the board, it says, "A good fan is hard to find."
Nice.
Based on her story, a good man is hard to find. And I said, "Oh, that's funny." And she said, "Yes." She said, "Have you heard of Bishop Robert Barron?" I'm like, "Yes, I have."
Good segue.
Yes. And she said, "That was his pun. He came up with that." I'm like, "Oh, wow." And I'm like, "Well, I know Bishop Robert Barron. He's been on the show and sort of thing." And so I on Pints with Aquinas. And so I said, "Oh, that's good. I'll tell him." You know, I don't have his number, but I told Brandon, who knows him, I'll tell him to thank Bishop Robert Barron. But I got to talking to her, and she had no reason to sing the praises of Bishop Robert Barron. One, she's not clearly a faithful Catholic. She's clearly not a faithful Catholic. And two, she doesn't care to impress me. She doesn't know my story. She doesn't know I'm a faithful Catholic.
Right.
But she said that he came in because they were doing this documentary for Flannery O'Connor. And he stood up there and, you know, he was getting ready and he was about to do his monologue, and she was waiting for this to be some highfalutin thing.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking about Flannery O'Connor, and as he's talking about her work, he's talking about the Coen brothers and Fargo, and she just said she was mesmerized. And she said something to the effect of she saw a side of Catholicism or a richness to it that she doesn't often see. And you could tell that the woman was captivated. And I thought, this is what Bishop Robert Barron does really well. So if we want to criticize him, well, can we also admit that he's really good at like, doing certain things?
Yeah. Oh, I think there's a because it's a good question. I mean, Dare We Hope.
What's his name?
Not Von Balthasar.
Yes, that's it.
Is it Von Balthasar?
It is, yeah.
To ask the question. That's called doing theology. I really like Ralph Martin because he has a really great book about like we may not. We may, yeah.
And we have good reason teaching for that. Yeah,
exactly. And you can
Dare we hope? No.
The answer.
Cool. Just wondering.
But there's a sense of like, okay, in the mystery of God, not that there's unresolved mystery, capital M mystery. Yep. Yes, there's things that we don't ultimately
comprehend.
Yeah. I think that one of the pieces that we lose when we say, "Dare we hope all men be saved," is the evangelistic initiative. Like that sense of like, no, there's a need.
Yeah.
I mean, I think of one of my favorite office of readings is from St. Francis Xavier, who's my patron saint, my confirmation saint, where he's writing back from India, and where he writes about all the people in India who are coming to faith. He's like, he would lose his voice because he baptized so many people in the course of a day that he would lose his voice from saying in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, like a baptism. And he's writing back and saying, I wish I could run through the hallways of the universities in Europe, running up and down like a madman, saying, do you have any idea how many souls are going to hell just because of you? Because you have more learning than love. Yes. That you are staying here in Europe rather than coming to India. There's so many people who would love to become Catholic, but they're not because you're not willing to give your life. And you're like, okay, that evangelistic, not just kind of like excitement, but desperation. That sense of, he doesn't say how many people are being lost, kind of this, how many people are not knowing who Jesus is because of you. He says how many people are going to hell because of you.
Yes.
And of course, in divine judgment, like the Lord will never unjustly judge any of us who didn't have, whatever.
Sure.
But that seems to be a pretty solid endorsement for there is a desperate need to proclaim the gospel because it's a matter of eternity.
Yeah, that's right. And yet we don't believe in hell in order to put a fire under our evangelization efforts as if it was like a utilitarian thing.
Like heaven's the carrot and hell's the stick that kind of gets you to move.
No, not just that, but that, okay, we need to evangelize. How do we get serious about it? Well, what if we really believed in hell? Oh, well, I guess that would get us excited. Okay, go act like that, even though hell probably doesn't exist.
Right.
And I think the reason we believe in hell is because Jesus spoke more about it than anybody else.
Yep.
So,
but that sense of like a balance. And so I think Ralph Martin in his book, I can't remember the title of the book.
The only one I'm thinking of is The Fulfillment of All Desire.
That's so good.
Oh, yeah, man, you're thinking of the one where he talks of, where the main premise is the way is hard and narrow. Yeah. To perdition, and we've flipped that around and said the way to life is wide.
So in that, going back to people who are commentators, can we acknowledge the gift that people are bringing to the church without saying, I don't know, I don't think that Bishop Barron is a slouch in any way, shape, or form, and I don't think he's a lackey in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that he is I would never describe him as Catholic light. I'd say that he's Catholic. He's was a Catholic priest. He is a Catholic priest who is now a Catholic bishop who uses his platform to evangelize.
Will many be saved?
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Ralph Martin. Is that the one?
That's the one. Yeah.
Will many be saved for those at home? But yes, to your point. Sorry.
But no, I just think that there's I don't know. There's some people
Sometimes I feel like find another enemy.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
There's a lot out there.
Yeah.
But okay. But what they're saying though is it would be worse to have a bishop teaching heresy than to have someone outside the church.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I see the urgency to.
And I also see maybe
if they perceive him or someone.
Could we see this as being the way in which the body is helping itself? What I mean by that is, if I have someone criticize me, who's like in the church and says, well, Father Mike, actually, you said this incorrectly, or here's where you're wrong. They're not my enemy. They're helping me. So if there's an element where someone's criticizing or critiquing this person, they're not their enemy. They're helping that person. Yeah. So if I am wrong, then that's where I'm wrong.
And if you will refuse to, I'm not saying Bishop Barron's doing this, but if you will refuse to engage with your critic,
right,
and yet you are engaging in this speech in a public platform, it seems to me they have a right to correct you publicly.
Yeah. Or at least ask for clarification or whatever.
Yo, thanks for watching. You can watch the entire episode on YouTube if you want. You can listen to it at The Matt Fradd Show by subscribing on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And feel free to support me, patreon.com/MattFradd.